son and friends. My name is Ifando, and here's my groupmate, Brian, Faris, and Robert. Today we are going to present one of the examples of intercultural misunderstanding. Before we go through the presentation, I would like to ask you a question. Have you guys sought in Giant before? Or if you're not a fan of Giant, how about FairPrice? Do you know that Giant and FairPrice are under a bigger company called NTUC for FairPrice and Dairy Farm for Giant? As seen in this picture, NTUC and Dairy Farms have a lot of small companies under them. Then, have you ever wondered how they are able to manage all these small companies? Meanwhile, they are also gaining profit from this. With this question in mind, we did a research on the internet to find what are the factors of the success of these companies, behind this success of these companies. However, instead of finding a factor of success, we come across a very interesting topic, which is the factor, the cause of failure of a company. One of the best examples is Carrefour in Singapore. In 2012, Carrefour shut down the business and also exit Singapore's market. What's the reason behind this? What are the factors that caused this to happen? Caused Carrefour, a large company who have been in Singapore for 15 years, to shut down the business. So, in this presentation, there are 4 key points we are going to deliver. First, I'll be the one who will briefly introduce the history of Carrefour, and then continue with Ryan, who explain why Carrefour target international market, especially Singapore. Continue with Faris to identify the problem they face during 15 years in Singapore. And finally, Robert will conclude and give recommendation and solution for this problem. So without further ado, let's go to the brief history of Carrefour. It's established in 1959 in France by Fourier and Defori families, and these are the co-founders of Carrefour. It's just a starting. As a starting, they are opening only a super small supermarket selling daily products. However, in 1961, they managed to secure a joint venture with another company. In another 2 years, 1963, they invented a new store concept called hypermarket. So, what is hypermarket? In different with supermarket, hypermarket is a large store that stocks and sells a large number of products, while supermarket is just a grocery store, and it's a smaller in size compared to supermarket. By doing so, hypermarket is a so-called combination between supermarket and a storehouse. And also, by doing this, they can also sell a product, the same product in supermarket, but with a cheaper price. In Singapore, we have some examples of hypermarket, which is FairPrice Extra, while supermarket is only FairPrice. Okay, continue with Carrefour. With this concept, the hypermarket concept, they achieved a success. And also they started to open branches worldwide. In this map, for the right region, is the region where Carrefour opened the store directly under their name, while the yellow region is just a franchise they sell to the companies in the countries. So to sum up, today I've told you about what's the background and why do we did this research, and also the background information of Carrefour. Then I'll pass to Ryan to explain more how Carrefour enters international market and the reason behind this. Thank you.
Thank you, Ifando. Good evening, Discharge and fellow classmates. I want to ask if anyone of you will you do your assignments if the assignment is not graded? Similarly, will Carrefour enter international market without substantial reasons? Today, for my part, I will be talking about the reasons why Carrefour want to enter the international market and the reason why Carrefour want to enter Singapore retail market. Before I begin, let me bring you back to the past. Not using a time machine, but I will briefly talk about here. So Carrefour was established in 1959 and it was an immediate success. And in 1961, Carrefour had a joint venture and also embarked on an advertising campaign. It was a great success and the business increases by 45%. And in 1963, the company decided to expand their businesses into Paris region. And that's a new concept of hypermarket. However, not everyone was pleased with the concept of the hypermarket. The reason is because it affects small grocery businesses. And in 1994, there was a small group of shop owners. They formed an independent butchers union, and they sabotaged the Carrefour supply truck. And not only that, they also protest about the store's discounts, and they complained that the stores lack in rapport between the shop owners and also the customers. And furthermore, in 1970s, there was high inflation in France. The food prices competition was high, so it opposed the initial ideas of Carrefour, which is to provide customers with cheap and quality items. In addition, in 1973, various laws was implemented which put restrictions in the development of large stores in France. Hence, Carrefour decided to expand their business overseas. These are some of the countries that Carrefour decided to expand in: Spain, Brazil, Argentina, United States, Taiwan, and Malaysia in 1994. Surprisingly, Carrefour did a market research for Malaysia hypermarket, and they realized that 40% of the weekend sales is occupied by the Singapore consumers. Because of our location between Singapore and Malaysia and the currency exchange difference, Singaporean or people in Singapore tends to shop in Malaysia. And so Carrefour thought that, hey, why not we sell a hypermarket in Singapore too? And they did. So in 1990s, the economies in Asia was booming. So that set their ideas to sell a firm in Singapore. And the first store was in Suntec City in 1997, followed by a second store in Playa Singapura in 2003. So I have covered my part. I have covered the reasons why Carrefour want to enter the international market, and the reason why Carrefour chose Singapore because of a high patronage rate in Malaysia. So, at the time of 2012, Carrefour has exited from Singapore. Ideal Singapore. So I have a question for you. What caused the downfall of Carrefour? Is it capital issues or economies? For this, I will pass my time to Faris to explain about this.
Okay, thank you, Ryan. Okay, so Ryan has covered this previous part, and now I will cover what has caused Carrefour to be unsuccessful in Singapore for the past 15 years. And this lies down to its intercultural miscommunication between the business concept of Carrefour and Singaporeans as a whole. And it's in terms of Carrefour's location in Singapore, as well as its product branding and pricing. For location, as Ryan has mentioned, Carrefour has two outlets, one in Suntec City and one in Plaza Singapura. This is a problem as they are both inconvenient locations. Suntec City is in the business district of Singapore, while Plaza Singapura is in the shopping and tourist district of Singapore. So the easiest way to reach them is by having a car or taxi, because if you go by bus or train, it's quite time-consuming and difficult to reach. So even with taking a car or taking a taxi, we have to contend with traffic congestions as well as paying extra for peak entries as well as higher parking fees. And how does this size up to its competitors? From here to back, we can see all these small red dots of here, that these are the small red dots, which are quite hard to see. So the competitor competing supermarket chains such as Giant, Cold Storage, and Sheng Siong. And most of these are located in residential areas, which are far more convenient and accessible for Singaporean customers. As such, that's why we Singaporeans prefer to go to these places instead of Carrefour. So how is location an example of intercultural misunderstanding? Carrefour is successful in Western countries with Because although that we Singaporeans and Westerners, we have like kind of similar cost of living and standards of living, our way of life is different. This is because our homes are relatively smaller, and so we have smaller storage space for groceries. And that's why our grocery trips are more frequent and of lesser quantities compared to Westerners. And due to the cheaper and abundance of alternatives nearby to our location, we prefer to go to our nearby other malls like Tampines Mall and Bedok Mall or something like that, instead of at home. So now I pass my time over to Robert.
Thank you, Faris, for giving me the opportunity to present the final part of our presentation. I will mainly talk about the recommendations on what could have been done by Carrefour, then summarize the whole presentation. Now, let's have a look at the recommendations that our group has discussed. These recommendations are applicable, could have been implemented by Carrefour in the past, but more importantly, this can be applicable for every multinational retail companies which plan to expand their business in Singapore, or even existing retail companies in Singapore. Therefore, we will address these recommendations to retail companies in general instead of Carrefour in particular. The main recommendation that our group has proposed is that retail companies should adjust their business operation according to the culture in Singapore. The first adjustment that can be done is related to the location of the outlets. As previously mentioned by Faris, Singaporeans tend to visit nearby supermarkets or hypermarkets frequently. Therefore, retail companies should reach out to Singapore residents by having a lot of outlets which are concentrated in Singapore residential area instead of in a business area near central Singapore. This method itself has been implemented by FairPrice, which is one of the biggest retail companies in Singapore. And this figure in this slide shows the distribution of FairPrice outlets in Singapore. As you can see, FairPrice has a lot of outlets in Singapore residential area, and this strategy has been proven to be effective in capturing market share in Singapore because this method is suitable for the culture in Singapore. Now, let's move on to the second adjustment that we can do, which is pricing. Retail companies should adjust the pricing of the products they are selling. Again, this is due to the culture in Singapore that Singaporeans are generally price conscious. As we are generally price sensitive, discounts or any other kinds of promotion would work really well here in Singapore. Take a look at this advertisement, for example. This is the promotion which was offered by Giant Supermarket in 2011. And here is another promotion offered by FairPrice, also in 2011. Both of these companies offer promotion in every week or every month to capture our attention. Because for a lot of people in Singapore, price is the most essential key in determining which retail store to visit. Therefore, to sum up, to be the leading retail company in Singapore, we recommend that business aspects including pricing, including location of the outlets and pricing, need to be adjusted to the culture in Singapore. Now, I have come to the end of my presentation. In summary, we have talked about the brief introduction of Carrefour, the development of Carrefour and why they entered Singapore, the reasons of Carrefour's failure, and the last one is our recommendations on this case study. Thank you for listening, and now I will open the Q&A session.